Welcome back to our episodes of UNEB 2024 Solutions for Biology, and we began with paper 1. Today we are continuing with item 3, and our item 3 comes from the element of construct 5, which says the learner appreciates how characteristics are inherited in organisms, passed to generation through reproduction, and manifested as the organism grows. With this element of construct, it has two topics, which is genetics and reproduction. Now you're going to find that a learner has to have enough knowledge on genetics, how are characteristics passed on from one generation to another. And the learner should also be conversant enough concerning reproduction, because it's the very process on which those characteristics can be carried from one generation to the other through reproduction. And for our item number 3 in UNEB, it says that David got married to Joan and they produced a son. Their son, when injured, bleeds a lot, even with a slight cut on the skin. And this causes a lot of distress in the family. When Joan got pregnant for the second time, David advised her to abort on the belief that they would get a child with similar conditions like that of their firstborn son. However, when David and Joan went to the hospital concerning their son's condition, they were told that the condition was as a result of Joan being a carrier of hemophilia. And now hemophilia is a genetic disorder. The task: explain why Joan should not take David's advice. Part B: show how their son inherited the condition. And then part C says, what should Joan and David do to manage the challenges associated with the condition of their son? Now this question, first of all, they are telling that they gave birth to a son, and this son had issues with bleeding a lot, even with the slightest cut. And they even went ahead to tell you that Joan was a carrier for hemophilia, meaning their son, who is bleeding a lot without clotting of blood, is simply due to hemophilia. The son is now having hemophilia, and we shall check on how does the son happen to get hemophilia. We shall check on that. But then the part A is asking you, why shouldn't Joan take David's advice? David's advice is telling Joan to carry out abortion. And we all know abortion has its own consequences. Someone can lose their life, more so for if it's not carried out in a safe way. Now, this question is asking for your challenges, the challenges that you know about abortion. What are the side effects? What challenges could someone face in case they carry out abortion? Now, on part A, we shall simply check on the challenges. First of all, abortion is the termination of a pregnancy. You're simply terminating a pregnancy before that time of birth for certain reasons that someone could be having. And in this case, David wants Joan to carry out abortion because they don't want that child to be born in fear of the child having similar characteristics like their firstborn son. We shall check on what are the challenges of abortion, which will be our part A. Challenges, actually we shall say, because they are asking, why shouldn't Joan take David's advice? We just simply say, Joan should not take David's advice because of the challenges associated with abortion, especially if not conducted safely by a specialized health officer. Among the challenges, the following are given. These challenges include, now the first challenge concerning abortion is simply overbleeding. Ladies who conduct abortion, they tend to lose a lot of blood, and excessive loss of blood can result into anemia. This person may become anemic. So you have excessive loss of blood, which someone may also call overbleeding. Overbleeding that may lead to anemia. The other challenge, you will find that abortion involves perforation of the uterus. There is those perforations which tend to happen on the uterus where part of the uterus is broken down, and that may result into what we call fistula. Fistula, where you may find that this person has no control over the passage of urine and the fecal matter through the female sex organ, and that one is coming due to perforation of the perforation of the uterus. Then you also find that with abortion, There is also another challenge which can have, for example, infection of the womb. How is the infection of the womb coming? This may occur due to already existing bacterial infections. Someone is carrying out abortion, but they already have some existing bacterial infections in their reproductive system. Now, with abortion, you're already creating some risky areas in the female reproductive organ, and these ones can easily be attacked by the bacterial infections, by the bacteria which are already existing in that female reproductive organ, which may intensify damage of the reproductive system for the lady. The other thing, we have mental problems, mental health problems like feeling down and guilty. Someone has conducted abortion and it is ending someone's life. It's termination of a given life. And in doing so, some ladies feel mentally guilty and they also feel down. It causes some kind of stress and depression in some of these ladies. If at all they carry out abortion, and some of them may even be forced to carry out abortion, that one may cause emotional challenges. Someone feels down and they also end up feeling guilty. Then the other one, you may also talk about blood clots in the uterus that may cause severe cramping. Because remember, you're breaking down. Abortion is simply there has been implantation which has taken place, and now you're breaking down that fertilized egg which has already been implanted onto the uterus. You're breaking down that endothelium wall just to get rid of the pregnancy. And in doing so, there is loss of blood. During the loss of blood, there may be some blood clots which may cause severe cramping. So we have another one, blood clots that may cause severe cramping. And sometimes abortion can be so challenging in that someone may lose their ability to conceive again. You find that there are some ladies who have failed to conceive again. They are now considered barren. Why? They have carried out several abortions and it has damaged their uterus severely in that they can no longer conceive again. Someone may even lose that womb and they have no chance to conceive again, maybe to pass on their traits to the next generation. You find someone's traits just end at that level. Why? Because of abortion. So you just simply had to look at the challenges associated with abortion. That's why Joanne shouldn't accept, because yes, once she accepts abortion, she already has to put in her mind that every challenge you have put here is capable of happening to her and may damage her life to a certain extent that she may not be able to live a normal life again. That is our part A. Our part B, they are asking us how the son inherited the condition. First of all, they gave us a hint in that item saying that on checking with the health doctors, they found that the mother is a carrier for hemophilia. Yes, the mother has a gene for hemophilia, however, she has it in a heterozygous form. She has the normal one, which is dominant, and she has the recessive one, which is being suppressed by the dominant trait. And now we are going to show how is this trait passed on from the parents to the child. First of all, the trait they have told us, the trait was hemophilia, meaning the son is hemophilic. The son is having what we call a genetic disorder. Genetic disorder, which we simply call hemophilia. You have to understand what is hemophilia. First of all, hemophilia is a genetic disorder whereby one's blood takes long to clot in case of an injury, resulting into excessive bleeding. What is causing that? This person, in their body, they don't have what we call the genes that code for clotting factors. And therefore, because they have clotting factors, in case of an injury, this person doesn't have that capability to undergo blood clotting at the site of injury. So what happens? They end up losing excessive blood. And this hemophilia is carried along the sex chromosomes. And the sex chromosome responsible for carrying these traits is always the X chromosome. Why? This X chromosome is large in size and is capable of carrying those genetic traits, those genes for the trait. However, the Y chromosome is small in size and is not capable of carrying the alleles or the genes responsible for the trait. Now, this hemophilia of ours, you'll find that hemophilia, the recessive allele, the recessive allele is passed to the sons by their mothers, and the recessive allele is passed to the daughters by their fathers. We are going to find out how is this trait inherited. So we shall carry out what we call genetic process. First of all, we shall say, actually, before we go on to that, some of you need to understand properly. We said hemophilia is a genetic disorder in which one's blood takes long to clot at the site of an injury, leading to excessive loss of blood. And we said it is carried along the X chromosome. So we shall have mothers with the recessive gene pass it to their son, and fathers with the recessive gene pass it to their daughters. Why am I insisting on the word recessive? This hemophilia is caused by someone having that recessive gene, and it's only manifested when the recessive gene exists in the homozygous state. In case it's not existing in the homozygous state, and meaning that person has what we call the recessive gene and the normal gene. In the presence of the normal gene is dominant over the recessive gene. For that kind of person, the person ends up being a carrier, and therefore the trait or the disorder will not be manifested, but the person will be a carrier, meaning can pass it to the next generation. However, that person is not affected by that gene. So let's see. They are telling you that the mother is normal. In this case, the mother is normal. And actually, the mother is simply a carrier, because what they gave us in the question. The mother is a carrier, but the father is normal. So we shall go to our process. What do? We shall say, let H represent the allele for normal blood clotting, and then let small h represent the allele for hemophilia. In this case, this capital H is the normal allele, and the person who has this normal allele will undergo normal blood clotting. Why? This normal allele is dominant. In the presence of the normal allele, the allele for hemophilia will be suppressed. It will not be manifested. But once the two exist together, that person is considered a carrier. And being a carrier for this case, ladies are the ones we consider as carriers. Why? They have two X chromosomes. For the men, they cannot be carriers. Why? They have only one X chromosome. So for the males or a man is either infected with hemophilia or normal. We don't have a carrier man. Why? A man has only one X chromosome. That's why you find that they ask you a question: why are these sex-linked traits so common in the male gender? Why? You will find that the male gender, it has only one X chromosome. In case the person has that recessive allele for hemophilia, it will always be manifested, and they stand a small chance of surviving. But for the ladies, they have an advantage for being carriers in that they have two X chromosome. One can carry the normal allele and one can carry the recessive allele for hemophilia. And so with carriers are always females in case the alleles are carried on the X chromosomes. So let's check how was this one inherited by their son. We shall go to our genetic process. We have already said this is for the normal blood clotting, this is for the hemophilia. Now we shall go to what we consider as genotype of Joan and the genotype of David. Of Joan, we said Joan is a carrier, and therefore the genotype of Joan will simply be our X chromosomes, which are always present in the females. We said she's a carrier, she has the normal allele and the recessive allele. And genotype of David, remember males always have one X chromosome and one Y chromosome. So we shall have XY, but this man was normal. Being normal, he will have that normal allele, which is capital H. The moment you put a different letter, the moment you use something different concerning these chromosomes, because you have to be convinced enough what are the sex chromosomes in men and what are the sex chromosomes in women. So we shall go ahead and now start our course by giving parental phenotypes. The parental phenotypes, you simply have normal man and carrier woman. You have always to multiply because now we are going to cross carrier woman. We go to parental genotypes, which we already listed up. You just write them. Parental genotypes. Our parental genotypes, we come to the normal man. We had X. This, you still put a multiplication. Always ensure write letters. And then this one, try to make it a bit small. We have our carrier woman who has the normal allele and then the recessive allele. What do we normally do? Always, whenever these individuals are going to form any offspring, they first of all have to form what we call gametes. So we go to what we call our meiosis. Gametes are formed during meiosis, halving of the chromosome number. So our meiosis will give us our gametes. Always indicate meiosis using that. And from meiosis, we end up with what we call gametes. And always remember, gametes have to be inside a circle. They are only considered gametes once they are inside the circle. So you write for us our gametes. This is the first gamete we shall form. Put it inside the circle. It stands for a gamete. And then this other one, put it also inside the circle. And for the gametes, don't put the multiplication sign because we are simply just forming the gametes. And then you come to this other side. This is our gamete, and then the recessive one. Having formed those gametes, we now go to what we call fertilization, because it's after fertilization has taken place that you form the offspring. So we go to fertilization, where we conduct the process. Fertilization, and try to be neat enough to ensure that your process do not give you something different. For each cross you make sure that you first list what is the product you form. And what you're forming down here is what we call the F1 generation or offspring. F1 genotype. And we shall have this. With this, we shall get a normal daughter who is not even a carrier. Then this very one, with the other side, we shall end up with a carrier daughter again, just like the mother. Then we also look on the side. You find that we have a normal son, and then we end up with this other side. We get a son who is hemophilic. That is our F1 genotype. So in this case, you come and write our F1 phenotype. Our F1 phenotype, you're simply just going to write for us what we have here. This is a normal daughter. This is a normal daughter. So they have one normal daughter, one carrier daughter, one normal son, and one hemophilic son. That is the phenotype we shall have. So we shall have one carrier daughter, one normal son, and also one hemophilic son. So you can see that there is a chance of them carrying out reproduction and they end up with a hemophilic son. For any time they are going to produce a son, there is a chance out of their two sons they are producing. Out of their two sons they are always going to produce. One of the chances, there's a chance of one of the sons to always be hemophilic. One son may be normal and the other one will be hemophilic. So you find that this issue, since the mother is a carrier, is affecting more of their sons. All their daughters are coming out with the normal conditions. Why do I say this carrier is also going to be a normal one? Reason being, the carrier has a normal allele, and that normal allele masks the recessive allele. So this daughter just means as a carrier, but her hemophilic traits are not manifested. They are not manifested. Even in the condition when she has a slight wound, she will not lose excessive blood. Reason, she has the normal allele for normal blood clotting. But for the sons, one son will be normal and one son will be hemophilic. That's why the man is always worried. The man is worried that they may have a son who is just having the same traits like the firstborn. And for this case, I wouldn't advise them to carry out abortion for the challenges associated with abortion. And also, they shouldn't also carry out abortion. Why? Because they may end up with a daughter, and all their daughters are going to be totally normal. The daughters will be normal because they have one normal daughter and one carrier daughter. I said with one carrier daughter, there are no chances of the hemophilia being manifested in her phenotype. That's how we could go on item 3, part B. Now, our part C, they are asking, how can Joan and David manage the conditions or manage the challenges associated with their son? What are the challenges associated with their son? That's the first thing you have to ask yourself. They told you from the beginning that their son loses a lot of blood even with the slightest injury. And we also found out from our part B that the son is hemophilic. Every time they have any fertilization, there's a chance of them having a hemophilic son. And in this time round, their firstborn was hemophilic. A firstborn who is hemophilic means this son has a genetic disorder in which blood fails to clot at site of an injury, leading to excessive loss of blood. What is causing this excessive loss of blood? I told you that the son lacks what we call clotting factors. And the presence of clotting factors, there is no initiation of blood clotting. Since there is no initiation of blood clotting, this son is at a risk of losing a lot of blood and may even end up just losing his life. So what do we do for such kind of a son? The parents have to find ways of managing the health condition of their son to ensure a longer lifespan of their son. Because, it's their child and they need to see the child also happy. So what will they do? One of the things, since this child lacks clotting factors, we shall go to what we call regular infusions of clotting factor supplements. They are normal medical remedies where someone can be infused with. With infusion, we are looking at injecting that person with clotting factor supplements just to enhance the blood clotting of that person in case of an injury so that they don't lose a lot of blood that may result into costing their life. And then the other thing, you also have to look at that challenge is this person losing a lot of blood. And when does this person lose a lot of blood? The person loses a lot of blood when they are injured. So what do? We have to, at all costs, to avoid this child from being injured. This child shouldn't get injuries that involve loss of blood. The reason being, this child lacks clotting factors, and in case of an injury, they may not be able to undergo blood clotting to prevent excessive loss of blood. So what do? Avoid this child from injuries that put his life, avoid this child from activities that put his life at risk of getting injuries that may involve loss of blood. So what we shall normally do, we encourage what we call safe play and activities to minimize risk of injuries. Safe play, make sure that, yes, we know these children, when they are growing, they undergo a lot of these activities. They play risky games. You find the child jumping up and down, running everywhere. So what you do as a parent, monitor the child. Joan and David should monitor their child to ensure safe play. Maybe the child should play from home under their guidance, under their monitoring, to ensure that the child is not injured, to avoid excessive loss of blood. And the other thing, there is also what we have as maintain a balanced diet rich in vitamin C and iron to boost the child's immune system. In this case, they should feed the child on a balanced diet, more so rich in vitamin C and iron. Why? These ones are important in boosting the child's immunity. The reason as why they are boosting the child's immunity, sometimes we find that someone has strong immunity, they have high chances of surviving properly. Why? With this strong immunity, even in case of a slight injury, the immune system can always be able to fight against pathogens and maybe prevent entrance of more pathogens into their body at that site of an injury. And then the other thing we look at is also to encourage regular low-impact exercise. Much as we said, ensure safe play and activities, we didn't say the child shouldn't do exercise, because this child requires to have strong muscles, strong joints, and strong bones. What do? Encourage the child to do what we call low-impact exercises. For example, swimming to strengthen their muscles and bones. And also seek what we call genetic counseling. Genetic counseling is important for a couple where they are having what we call a genetic disorder, to ensure that they get children who are having who are not genetically infected. That's why we normally encourage what we call genetic counseling, and also be advised on how to raise their child to live a long lifespan, even with the genetic disorder. Because we don't mean to say that a child with a genetic disorder doesn't deserve a right to live. No, please. Every child has a right to live, even with that genetic disorder. It can always be managed. So they should always run out the genetic counselors for what we call genetic counseling. That's all we could put on item 3, part C. Thank you so much. For more solutions, for better solutions in the writing, always reach out on Katedi and get all the answers concerning this item. Keep following us and keep viewing those videos for better solutions on all UNEB items.